Yesterday, when the Nightwing trailer for Gotham Knights dropped at Summer Games Fest, I had every intention of covering it until I actually saw the trailer and realized there is nothing to talk about. And so ultimately, that's what I'm going to talk about. Gotham Knights is a game that I really want to like, and I really am excited for. I loved the Arkham games. I love Batman as a character, and I love all the characters that are playable in this game. I think Nightwing, Robin, Red Hood, and Batgirl are all fantastic characters with a lot of storytelling potential. And yet I don't see a huge level of excitement for this game in the gaming community as a whole, much less the Arkham community. If you aren't someone who's followed this game since before its announcement, this is a game that people have been waiting for a very long time. For Warner Bros. Games Montreal, this will be their first standalone shipped title since 2013's Batman Arkham Origins. They've done things like the Batgirl DLC for Arkham Knight in 2015, but this will be their first game that they themselves have developed since 2013. And on top of that, this is a highly anticipated game that people have been waiting on for a very long time. Back in late 2015, we started getting rumors that there was going to be another Arkham game after Arkham Knight from Warner Bros. Games Montreal, and back then the leaks reported that this was going to be a Damian Wayne game that was set 10 years after Arkham Knight. And ultimately, that game was internally canceled and rebooted as Gotham Knights. So needless to say, when fans were expecting essentially Arkham Knight 2.0, where the map was bigger but you were still playing as Batman, and just Arkham Knight to the next level with graphics that followed the Arkham art style but better, and instead we got Gotham Knights, a game that is no longer in the Arkham continuity, that does not feature Batman but instead features his sidekicks, and is a very different art style and has very different gameplay mechanics and just breaks away from so many things that people loved about the award-winning fan favorite Arkham games that were just hits every single time one of them came out. It created quite the controversy within the Arkham community, and this was going to be an uphill battle, no matter what, for Warner Bros. Games Montreal to sell their audience on this new take on Gotham City. With that said, after that initial reveal and after actually sitting with the gameplay, it seemed like people were starting to finally accept that this was not going to be another Arkham game, that it was something completely different, and people were finally ready to sit down and say, okay, WB Monty, what do you have for us? And then we had a year of radio silence, really over a year. It was like 14 months before we saw anything else. And so finally, we're all sitting at DC Fandom 2021 waiting for more news on Gotham Knights. And waiting, what are we going to see? Are we going to see Hush? Are we going to see Two-Face? Are we going to see open world story missions? Or what are we going to see? And then they showed us just another fairly bland trailer. And that was the point that I realized that I had an issue with these trailers in that, yes, they're cool. And this goes for this trailer and the reveal trailer. They're cool, but they're kind of soulless. We don't really see how the knights interact, which should be the focal point of the game. And this is something that the developers have repeatedly said is a focal point of the game, is how do the knights interact with each other? How do they mourn the loss of Batman? How do they move forward, and how do their villains adapt now that Batman is gone? How does the power dynamic in Gotham City change? And what are the Court of Owls up to? What's going on? But they're not showing any of that. They're not showing us the chemistry between the knights. They're not showing us what villains are in the game. Instead, they're just showing us kind of highlight reels of gameplay of the Gotham Knights fighting the Court of Owls, which, yes, it's cool, but we've already seen it. And now we've gotten a handful of more trailers and gameplay demos, and at this point, I think there's 5 or 6 total official videos for Gotham Knights from Warner Bros. Games Montreal. And yet we still don't really know what it's like to free roam in the city. Their last gameplay demo started to get into it, but it really only scratched the surface. The other thing that they're really invested in showing us is all of the gear and loot that you can get in the game, but that is very far from what most Arkham fans were looking for in this game. And then the other day when we got the Gotham Knights trailer at Summer Games Fest, which was a Nightwing trailer, and it is cool because they're going to have a trailer for each of the characters, and I'm excited to see what else they have. And one thing I will give props to the trailer for is that I do feel like I kind of got a chance to hear Nightwing's motivation in the game. I felt like I finally got some of that chemistry, not with the other knights, but just with his relationship to Bruce and with his relationship to Gotham. And I finally started to see that personality emerge. And maybe that's the best way to describe the issue with Gotham Knights, is that we have not seen its personality. We've seen all of the gear and looter mechanics that are in so many other games these days that people just don't like. We've seen things that are reminiscent of the Batman Arkham games. We've seen that you can drive around on your bat bikes. And there are things that look cool that you can do in the game, but ultimately, until we know the story and the characters and what's at stake, those things don't matter all that much. So while it was cool to get a brief but interesting look at Nightwing, it simply didn't do it for me. I think that it's quite concerning that 2 years ago when we got the Gotham Knights reveal, that's when we got a big dump of information on what this game was going to be, what we could expect. And then, since then, I don't feel like I know anything new about the game. I don't know any of the other villains that will be in the game except Penguin, but he doesn't look like he's playing a major role necessarily, or all that interesting of a role. Show me Mad Hatter, show me Two-Face, show me Hush, show me Clayface, show me these guys that I can fight in the game. Even the little tidbits of new things that they have shown have felt very strange. It feels like they're showing us these highly customizable options that you have for the characters, such as Red Hood's mystic jump, or whatever they call it, and Nightwing's glider, which has kind of been confirmed that you don't have to use either of them, and there's other ways to get around. Even in the Nightwing trailer, we started seeing, oh yeah, he can parkour around. There's some cool things you can do with him. But why aren't they showing us that? I think that there would have been a much better reception to, oh, look at the parkour that Nightwing is doing on the rooftop, as opposed to, oh, look, he just popped open a Fortnite glider. And it's tricky because will I end up using some of these perhaps controversial customization options for traversal and combat in the game? Yeah, probably, because I'm going to tailor the characters to my playstyle, and those might fit how the game fits for me. But also, there's a reason that Insomniac didn't lead their Spider-Man games marketing with, like, Spider-Man pulling out an electric guitar. They made it super clear that that was like an alternate skin and not canon to the game. But I don't know, imagine if that's how Spider-Man had been marketed. Imagine if we only knew that Mr. Negative was a villain in the game. We didn't know that anyone else was. We had no idea, like, what you could do in the city or in the traversal. But imagine they show us, oh, but you can use alternate suits and you can mod the gadgets a little bit, and you can stop base crimes. You can go in and fight waves of enemies. Ultimately, Gotham Knights is having a problem where it doesn't know how to show us substance. It doesn't know how to show us its personality. And I think what it really needs to do is continue to focus on fleshing out these characters in marketing and showing us gameplay and showing us what villains we can expect to face. And it maybe has been a symptom of them trying to show that they are not Rocksteady and show everything about the game that is different or improved from Arkham, without showing those staples of Batman games that we loved from the Arkham games and those remnants that still exist in this game. Like, going back to my Spider-Man analogy, it would be like if Insomniac had some weird thing against showing that the Sinister Six and web swinging were in the game, and giving the reason like, well, you've done web swinging in other Spider-Man games, and you fought these villains in other Spider-Man games, and yeah, they're in our game, but we don't want to show them to you. We want to show you that you can pull out an electric guitar in the game. It's like, yeah, but ultimately, a Spider-Man fan is going to play it for those classic elements, just like how Batman fans and fans of the Gotham City lore in DC Comics are playing this for the characters and the story, and wanting to see some of those elements that, yes, they're going to be similar to Arkham, because Arkham got so many things right about Gotham. And yeah, you know, if Gotham Knights is going to do the same, then yeah, there's going to be similar aspects in grappling and gliding. And I mean, we haven't even seen what it really looks like to glide around the city. So I don't know. I really want to like this game. And this is coming from someone who is super excited to play it and who really wants to love it. I want this to be my favorite Batman-esque game, even though it doesn't feature Batman. But the marketing is not doing it favors. Again, this is coming from someone who wants there to be hype and wants to be excited. But this is just very odd marketing that does not encourage me to want to play it. So while I will still be pre-ordering it, and while I still don't think it looks as bad as many people are giving it crap for, and honestly, I think it looks like a lot of fun, I just don't understand why they're showing us the elements that they're showing us. This should be like the Arkham Knight marketing, where people are just pumped out of their minds to play this game. But that's not the case. I think that the reaction is ranging from like, what the crap is this, to, it looks okay. But this should be something that people are like jumping out of their seats when the gameplay comes on. And I don't understand why they're not showing us the elements of this game that would cause that effect, because I'm sure that they're there. I'd hope that they are. They've spent a long time working on this game. And ultimately, it's because I care about the dev team. I've talked to a lot of them. I think they're great guys and gals, and I really want them to succeed and be able to build this universe that they are so clearly passionate about. And I don't blame them. I think that this is probably Warner Brothers being very finicky about what they're allowed to show. But with that being said, I just want the marketing to get better. Anyways, thanks you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Gotham Knights marketing, and we'll see you guys in the next one.